Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to make garlic and herb bread. And I'll be making this garlic and herb bread using a regular oven and an air fryer. So that means I'll be making 2 batches of bread today. Right now, I'm in my garden trying to get some sprigs of thyme and rosemary, which I'll be using for this recipe. At this point, I just finished air frying the garlic, which I'll be using for this recipe. You can also do this using an oven. I've simply added a tablespoon of olive oil to 2 large unpeeled garlic and simply folded them in a baking sheet and let them cook for about 20 minutes at 180 degrees. Then I simply mashed them up with a fork, and that was it. Now that the garlic is all mashed up, this is what it looks like. Now, these are the ingredients which I'll be using. I've got 4 cups of flour, 2.5 tablespoons of yeast, 3 sprigs of rosemary, and a sprig of thyme. And that's my mashed roasted garlic with 1 tablespoon of salt. Then I'm gonna add 2.5 cups of water. That's it, just 6 ingredients. And here's an overview of my ingredients. Now let's begin. This is my flour. I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of salt and mix with my hands. Next, I'm gonna add my chopped up rosemary and thyme and mix. I've added some lukewarm water to my yeast off camera, and now I'm gonna add it to the flour mixture. I've used warm water and not hot water to activate the yeast, as hot water will kill the yeast. Now, check out the consistency. As you can see, it's kind of frothy and not runny. Now, I'm gonna add the yeast mixture to the flour. Then I'm gonna add my mashed roasted garlic and water. When adding the water, it's best not to add it all in one go. As I'm doing here, I'm adding the water in bits and mixing. Mix your dough and knead until everything is well combined. When you notice that the dough is no longer sticky like so, it means it's time to transfer the dough into another bowl. Check that out! Sounds like I've got some rhyme going on. Dough bowl. Well, let's get back into the bread making. Now, I'm gonna transfer the dough to a bowl that I've already added some oil to. The oil is gonna prevent the dough from sticking to the bowl. Next, I'm gonna cover the dough with a wet towel and leave it to rise or proof for 1 hour. Remember to keep it in a warm place so as to speed up the proofing process. I'm gonna leave it on the kitchen counter for an hour. After 1 hour, the dough has risen and this is what it looks like. Now, I'm going to punch it down to reduce the air bubbles and let the dough rise for the second time. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to divide the dough into 2, as I'll be cooking 1 half in my air fryer and the other half in the traditional oven. Now, I'm going to roll up the dough into the shape I want and I'm gonna place it on a baking tray, which I've lined with a baking sheet. Then I'm gonna go ahead to cover it up with a bowl for the second proofing. I'm gonna do the same with the other half, which I'll be cooking in my air fryer. I'm gonna cover that up as well and let it proof. I'm gonna let them rise for 45 minutes. This is what the dough looks like after the second proofing. That's also the one going into my air fryer. This step is optional. I decided to make some scoring marks on my bread, so this is me flouring the bread dough and scoring it with a sharp and brand new razor blade. I'm gonna do the same for the one going into the air fryer. Now they're both ready to go into the air fryer and oven. The oven has been preheating at 170 degrees, but before I put in the bread, I'm gonna add some water to the lower tray and place the bread on the upper tray. The water will help stop the bread crust from setting too quickly or burning up, and the water will also help give the bread a nice light brown crust. I'm gonna leave it to cook for 20 minutes at 170 degrees. Now let's move on to the air fryer one. For this one, I'm gonna let it cook for 25 minutes at 160 degrees, as I want it to cook slowly and I don't want it to burn. So this is what my oven cooked garlic and herb bread looks like. Can you hear the sound? It means the bread is evenly cooked and it's got really nice air pockets in it. And over here is my air fried garlic and herb bread. Again, hear the sound when I tap on the bread? Perfect. Although it looks slightly burnt on the top, but it looks okay either way. Now it's time to cut the bread. I've got a bread knife with me, which is a serrated knife, which I believe is the best type of knife to use when cutting bread. That's me folding my sleeves, getting ready for the task ahead. Now this is the moment of truth. Now look at those gorgeous air pockets and look how soft it looks. I can already smell the rosemary, the garlic, the thyme. Just amazing, simply wonderful. Now look at the second slice. Can you see some bits of rosemary and thyme in it? That's simply magical for me. Now let's cut through the air fryer one. It's slightly burnt but still looks good. Now again, look at all those air pockets and it smells so wonderful. I wish you could all smell it. It's amazing. Now I'm gonna slice them all up and store them in the freezer. It keeps well in the fridge for about a week and keeps well in the freezer for more than 2 months. If you've stored your bread in the freezer and want to eat it, all you need to do is take it out of the freezer and let it defrost at room temperature, then enjoy. If you've got an air fryer and you're probably wondering if you could bake bread in it, as you can see from this video, yes, it's absolutely possible. I've also baked cinnamon rolls or cinnamon buns in the past in my air fryer. I'll leave a link to that video somewhere above this one. I'll also be making a video on how to bake cake in your air fryer very soon, so please stay tuned. So this is the end of my air fryer versus oven garlic and herb bread. Thanks for watching. See you in my next one, and enjoy your bread whenever you choose to bake it. Bye.